This is a very different tone from President Trump and very different from his previous interactions with NATO. And I think it's fair to call this a win for President Trump. It's not just a win for President Trump, though. It's also a win for the Baltic states, for the Scandinavian countries, for Poland, and the other countries that are part of NATO that feel threatened by Russia. This is really important to answer your question because Russia now poses a very substantial threat, not just to Ukraine, but also to those countries I just mentioned that have borders with Russia or are very close to the Ukraine conflict and feel like if Russia prevails in Ukraine, their territory could also be threatened by Russia. So it's going to call for an enormous increase in spending. Not one country in NATO is at this 5% target of GDP for spending on defense. Even the United States is not at 5%. The closest country is Poland at 4.1%. So this means that NATO is going to have a much more robust collective military at the end of the 10 years if the commitments are met. And that means that's a bad thing for Russia if Russia really intends to continue on its path towards increasing territory and expanding its borders. It's also a bad thing for China because many of these countries would also be lined up against any aggression by China as well. And it's also an important marker for the United States because President Trump is now saying much more positive things about NATO. He's even said today positive things about the Article 5 commitment of the United States and the fact that the United States would stand by the Article 5 commitment that every NATO member has.
Yeah, and you raised a good point there, too, because the U.S., our contribution is about 3.5% of our GDP, interestingly enough.